I'd like to welcome everybody here and there to tonight's Fitchburg Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, October 11th, 2022. I'd like to ask our senior member of the board, Mr. Joe Byrne, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. Okay, tonight, our first case before us is ZBA 2016-05, and it's property AG Dream Flip LLC, and the property is 83 to 85 Marshall Street. Meeting is starting a bit late, and it's about 6:12, getting a little feedback here. And is there anybody here in the audience for this particular case? Okay. So with that being said, we're going to wait until 6:15 before we can hear the next case. And this meeting has already been opened, and it is a continuance tonight for several items that we had requested from the applicant. So at this point, I do want to acknowledge that our chair, Christine Tree, is with us remote. How are you tonight? Madam Chair, do you have any information, any feedback, or anything with regards to this particular case?
On this case, I was forwarded a plan late this afternoon that appears to be modified by the applicant. I would offer that I've been by. There doesn't seem to be any change from the last meeting. The last I knew, the applicant had an approved site plan, but had made modifications to the plan, which required the planning board to review and reapprove. And that had not been completed as of the prior meeting. I do not have any further information as to whether it was completed before this meeting.
Thank you. I would just ask procedurally, we probably want to, if the applicant doesn't show in the next minute, look for a continuance to the next meeting, Madam Chair.
I would agree. We should also have Ms. Johnson follow up after the meeting to have a continuance agreement signed on this issue.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Michael,
Yes.
is it possible that they could be over on City Hall?
Could possibly be.
I'd be happy to walk over there and run up to see if anyone's there.
Is there signs been put up that would direct people over here tonight, being that this is the first?
No, but I did call everyone on the agenda.
It's just that most of these cases here are used to going over there.
Yeah, yeah, I get
I
it.
mean, I'm happy to run over.
Possible.
Well, if contact has been made,
Okay.
You could be there all night.
No, I just meant to
That would
see if
kinda-
anyone was there, but
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, I just,
Well, I guess what we're going to do is, I'm going to, at this point, I think, ask for a vote for a continuance. If by chance, some of these applicants do come in late, we could always
Sure.
consider if we want to hear the case at the end of the night. That makes sense?
Yes.
We were just, there's nobody in the audience right now in person?
There are two people.
Not for that case.
83 to 85.
Which case are you guys here for?
Ratio?
The address, please. The address?
College Street?
The College Street.
56.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so if I could ask for a motion for a continuance, and this would be for next month.
How many we already got for next month?
I don't yet.
What do we have for a date on that?
Next month?
November the 7th
November
is the petition date.
October 10th,
November the 8th
November 7th.
is the hearing date.
November
The
the 8th?
8th?
8th, okay.
Okay, if I could have a motion for continuance?
All right, I'll make a motion that ZBA 2016-5, 83 to 85 Marshall Street be continued until next month,
I'll second.
and November 8th, 2022.
Second,
I'll second, yep.
and all those in favor?
Aye.
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 There you have it.
Do we need to request a
Signature.
signature, or are we all set for the time?
This petition has been pending for some time. We should request a signature.
Okay.
So you need a mutual agreement?
Yeah, need a mutual agreement. Maybe we'll see them tonight. Okay.
Go.
So we're going to move on to the next case, ZBA 2022-26, Ruth Jeanette Guzman for the property at 324 Lunenburg Street. Is anybody here tonight for that case? Okay. Don't have anybody yet.
Are we gonna put it there?
Have the last minutes or the last decision for this
Yeah, the last minute.
Mr. Vice Chair, the building commissioner is requesting permission to speak.
Absolutely. Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This is Mark Barbadoro, Building Commissioner. I did want to update the board that I spoke to the local inspector who has been reviewing the project, and that is Inspector Moriali. Inspector Moriali told me today that they are very close to completing the interior work on the project, but I realize that the exterior may still have elements that need to be done. So I'm just informing the board so they can, keep this in mind when they decide to, what their next step might be. And the building department is willing to work with the board to try and help the applicant get across the finish line.
Thank you. Okay. So,
You wanna do it? Continue it again?
have to wait till 6:30.
That's why we're killing so much time.
Mr. Vice Chair, may I make comment?
Absolutely, please do.
I drove by this property. The property is as picked up as it was at the last meeting, which is an improvement over its condition from many months prior. It is not completed on the outside. Whether or not they complete the project on the inside, as long as a minimum level of maintenance is maintained outside, I would suggest that we continue this a number of months for review so that we are not having this matter back before us repeatedly without anybody showing and without completion. My preference would be January or thereafter.
Do you, Madam Chair, do you have the last decision, the last meeting date, and what the pending bullets were?
In July, there was a meeting at which the property had not progressed for some time, and the exterior maintenance was deplorable. And there was a suggestion that the permit either be pulled or that the permit holder be fined. After that meeting, although the permit holder did not appear, and I believe Mr. Barbadaro saw her available remotely, but long after the case was called. The property had improved, and we were looking for some remaining items, but it's really completion of the project that is important for review for the board.
So, looking for some feedback, you would like to see a continuance until January?
At least January.
And
You're not going to get occupancy permits until we get this.
yes, that's what I was just checking out, because a lot of projects, it seems like
It's been there how many years now?
they're rolling
least
before we
3.
fully approve the,
2019.
so I guess we'll wait a couple of more minutes and then look at a motion for a continuance until January. Is that acceptable to the board?
Yes.
Yeah, what's the January date?
Let me check.
The January date is January 10.
Okay.
Answer me this, Michael. Doesn't it stay when W wants to be assigned every year the same number? This has been here with us how many years?
Right?
It has to be.
This would be the correct case, right?
It was like 2019, I thought. 2219, 2019.
Okay.
I just want to check
So
because I'm
it's-
going to have the motion made under that case number.
Mr. Byrne,
I am.
I agree that the number is incorrect.
Yeah.
Yes, here it
It
is.
appears that way.
2019-13.
Yep, so if you could reference 2019-13.
It's more like it. Thank you. I'll get another.
That's 13.
This one. Ta-da.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
the meeting seems to be running fairly smooth so far, but the night is young.
I'm pleased we're able to handle these matters within the time allocated on the agenda.
Finally.
The correct number for 324 Lunenburg Street is ZBA 2019-13.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, folks, let's look at the clock here.
January, what did you say, 11th? 23?
Did you want to have a motion made to continue?
Yeah, I think it,
January 10.
wait another minute, but
Thank you.
at this point, I don't think I would want to hear it. Anyway.
This is the first time we've ever had to do this, 2 in a row.
Mr. Chair, does any other board member have a comment on or concern about the appearance of the property?
You said it all.
I see one item that I feel should be addressed.
And that is?
Yeah.
On the side of the porch, there are footings that have been poured. There's no soil around it, and it's definitely a trip and fall accident.
Yeah, well, that's what she said. She said the outside had not been completed and.
Yeah,
And
but
it's-
that's been since last month.
Well,
So it's quite deep. The hole is quite deep. But the landscaping in the wire still is hanging from the tree.
What's another 3 months? At least the vinyl won't
are we
fade.
gonna, can we put into the motion that they don't get any occupancy permits until?
That's already a condition, one of the earlier ones,
Oh,
because I was
let's-
thinking the
let's
same thing. Yeah,
Re-emphasize,
yeah.
okay?
All right, I guess at this point, if I could have a motion for this particular case.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion on 2019-13, 324 Lunenburg Street, that it be continued until the January 10th meeting of 2023.
Okay, if I could have a second, please?
I'd like to add to that we also make note that there is not going to be any occupancy permits issued until the zoning board has approved
Yes, which is
occupancy. It's in the conditions, but let's just reemphasize it so when it
reiterating
goes
the
out that
condition.
they know it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
Okay,
Second that.
second by Brian Gallagher. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. You have all the ayes?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Okay. Next case, ZBA 2022-06, Olson Lucian for 133 Cedar Street. And any representative?
Michael, I know the chair is here, but she wanted that to be here, or? Are you okay with moving forward, Madam Chair?
I would like to be here throughout the hearing. Hopefully, we can conclude this within 20 minutes. If not, I'm going to ask that we continue until my return later on in the meeting. But let's start.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. For the record,
Attorney John Flick for the applicant, Olson Lucian. My client is supposed to be here. He's either delayed in traffic. I also emailed him with the change of location because we're used to being in the other building. So hopefully he will be here to address any additional questions that the board may have.
okay. Are we waiting for him to arrive?
I think we can proceed.
Okay, great. So, Attorney Flick, I'm filling in tonight, obviously, right, as the co-chair. So there's probably going to be a fair amount of dialogue with Attorney Tree as well, remote. And tonight, you're coming back with some new information.
Well, really, we don't have any new information. I think the last time we came here, we were presenting information that it's our position that this property has only ever lawfully been used as a two-family property in the city of Fitchburg. And we presented some historical evidence that we had obtained through public record searches and public record requests to the city of Fitchburg. It remains our position that this property has only been lawfully used as a two-family. And therefore, it's our position, legal position, that 40A Section 6 would apply, and that as a matter of course, if the renovations that my client has proposed, which are within the footprint of the building, they're within the interior of the building and nothing other than the interior renovations. There may be some exterior cosmetic renovations that are being done, but they fall under the exceptions of 40A Section 6. And if the board finds that the renovations, the work to be performed, does not alter the exterior or make the property more nonconforming, which it does not, then he's entitled to a special permit as a matter of right under 40A Section 6. It's ultimately our position that a special permit is not required, but since we're here, for the purpose of moving this matter forward and bringing this matter to a closure, we will concede to the jurisdiction of the ZBA under 40A Section 6 for findings under 40A Section 6 regarding the non-conforming structure, as it's our position that it is a conforming use.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the information on 133 Cedar.
Okay, this is from
Building commissioner.
Actually, our chair, she,
Okay.
both of those packets.
Joe, could you pass this down to Mike? Mike, I'd like you to take a look at that.
Is that what the realtors are putting up?
That's when it was sold in, I believe, 2002.
Okay, before we get started, I just want to kind of, Madam Chair, this case has been in and out. We've had board members here, not present. Who's been here for all of the cases?
I have.
Okay. Jim has not. So we're in pretty good shape, I guess, with moving ahead with the 5 members, right? Everybody's comfortable with all the information to date?
I am.
Okay, okay. Is there any new information you would like to add, Attorney Flick?
Really, I think we've presented everything that we can present. It's just our position that the renovations that my client is proposing to do not intensify any nonconformity of the structure. And it is, as it's a continuing use of the property as a two-family, as a result of not intensifying the nonconformity of the structure, the nonconformity of the structure, they're entitled to a special permit.
Okay, so basically, a quick summary of information you provided, that this has never been a 3-family, it's always been a 2-family.
It's never been a lawful 3-family, so therefore it does not constitute a pre-existing nonconforming use.
Okay. Even after a certain amount of time.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the board?
I don't have.
Information like to share? Madam Chair?
Mr. Vice Chair, is Mr. Crost in the audience today?
No. Who? The abutter, Mr. Crost.
No.
No, he is not.
I have a question for Attorney Flick.
Please.
Your argument just now was that 48 Section 6 should apply.
Correct.
This is a small point, and I realize that our ordinance in this particular situation is a unicorn. But 48 Section 6 protection would have been lost upon abandonment under the state statute. Right? And we
For
are
use.
proceeding under the ordinance which allows revival of the abandoned use in an analysis that mirrors 48 Section 6.
Well, under 48 Section 6, use is abandoned, but the nonconformity of the structure is not abandoned. And where it's our position that this has been a lawful 2-family since its construction, and since zoning was implemented in 1945, or the first zoning ordinance I think was 1945, that it doesn't lose that pre-existing conformity.
Thank you. And I'm just going to say to both the board and Attorney Flick that we are in an area of law that the SJC has called confusing and difficult to understand. And I appreciate Attorney Flick offering his opinion on this. It's been an unusually convoluted in my sense, analysis for this piece of property. If Attorney Flick is correct, then it's a very simplistic analysis. Attorney Flick, would you say that the protection has never been lost because the structure has never been abandoned, or because of its characteristic as a two-family?
Well, I would think it's both and, because the structure has been a pre-existing non-conforming structure for decades, well over 100 years at this point, or close to over 100 years. But that it's our position that the use has always been a pre-existing conforming use, permitted as a matter of right. So if you're asking about the 2-year expiration of use, that applies to a pre-existing non-conforming use. And since there was no pre-existing non-conforming use that was lawfully being used, I would argue that that position does not apply, that does not apply.
It wasn't being used.
I believe that 48 Section 6 also contains the same provision for non-conforming structures. And as a two-family structure, although we need to talk about some factual findings tonight, I would, from what I've seen, agree that it was a legally non-conforming structure because it predated the zoning ordinance in 1945.
Well, I think
It's the abandonment that was the issue.
I think that's contrary to the SJC's decision in Borkland, but if that's your position.
Any other?
Mr. Vice Chair,
Yes, madam.
I'd like the board to make a factual finding on whether or not the property was used as a three-family dwelling in 1945 upon the passage of the zoning ordinance. And I would like for any other person to offer any evidence they have. I'm going to summarize what I have seen for evidence. And let me say that I began to look for evidence beyond that offered by the petitioner because it seemed to me that it was used as a three-family prior to 1945. And my general finding has been the opposite, that it was used as a two-family in 1945. My reasons for stating that are that both the street listings and the 1940 federal census shows two different family names in one owned and one rented unit on the property. In 1950, the U.S. federal census records again show the same thing, that there was an owner and a renter, 2 units on the property. So given that, and given the absence of any indication other than the fact that it certainly was used as a three-family, with the third unit being in the basement, prior to 1971, I don't see enough evidence to find that it was used as a three-family in 1945. But I would like to hear from the board if anyone has anything to show otherwise, and I would ask that there be a vote on that factual finding.
Okay, so just so we have some clarification, you want to know if the board did any research to find if it was a three-family?
Or has come across or during our hearings found any indication that in 1945 it was being used as a three-family?
I certainly don't. Any other board members?
No,
No.
I do not.
nobody. You have to take it what the counselor says, what the chair says. She says she looked it up. I believe her.
Well, I think you've heard comments from the board, Madam Chair. So do you want us to move to a vote on a finding?
I'd ask for a vote on that factual finding.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess a motion is on the table to vote as to whether any of the board members,
No, she wants, the motion should be that we find no reason to believe that 133 Cedar Street was not a two-family in 1940. That's what the motion should be. Is that correct, Madam Chair?
1945, but otherwise correct, sir.
45, okay.
okay, so we're going to
Did you get that?
make that motion.
Okay. Somebody second it?
I'll second.
Just a second
Brian
from
second.
Brian.
Reiterate it, please?
Reiterate it?
Yes.
I make a motion that CBA,
Right here, Joe.
look at it.
Right here.
Attorney Tree, do you want to give us that language so we
That's your
have
wrong
it
number,
correct
too.
legally?
Are you sure?
Motion in the affirmative to make a finding that the property was not used as a three-family in 1945.
Yes.
So moved.
Right.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, next step.
I have a few minutes remaining, so I'm just going to note that. The next question that was presented by the city solicitor was whether the property had ever been put to a legally conforming use as a three-family. After review of the argument presented by Attorney Flick and review of the municipal ordinances going back to 1945, I would give you the following information. At any time after 1945, in order to legally convert the structure from a two-family to a three-family or from a single-family to a three-family, a dimensional variance would have been required and a use variance would have been required. Attorney Flick has presented evidence showing that there is no recorded variance of record for the property. One thing to note is that prior to 1960, there was no requirement in the statute that a variance be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. But we have an absence of information, not a presence of information. If the property was legally converted under a variance, then the variance does not expire unless the use is altered. And therefore, variance still allows use of the structure and existence of the structure as a three-family. If it was not converted via a variance, and an unrecorded variance from 1951 to 1960 would have to be it. Then the use without getting too complicated about it, never became lawful, despite the fact that from 2001 to 2004, a three-family use was allowed by right in the district. And that is because even though the use was allowed by right, the structure was not conforming. So I'm going to ask the board to make another factual finding on whether there was a legal conversion to a three-family after 1945, or whether there was not a legal conversion after 1945.
Okay. I make a motion that the board find that there is not enough evidence to say that this was a legally converted three-family from a two-family
I think we have to
since
make that-
1960.
That there was not enough evidence.
It was not a three-family. It was never legally done. I have a second?
Is that the language you're looking for, Madam Tree?
Yes, thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. One more time for the record.
That the property at 133 Cedar Street was never converted since 1960 legally to be a three-family.
Okay. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's your 20 minutes.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Following this, in 2016, the state statute was altered to allow an illegal, non-conforming structure that had been in existence for at least 10 years to be considered a legal, non-conforming structure. If the property was abandoned prior to 2016, it did not receive the benefit, in my opinion, of that step up to non-conforming status. If it was abandoned in 2016 or after, then it got the step up to legally non-conforming three-family structure.
I don't get that one.
I don't know that we have time for discussion on this. I have 2 minutes. But if anybody is ready to take a vote on that, then we can do so.
Do we have any information regarding that in particular? Any research that you had done, Madam Chair, that you can provide the board?
In 2012, there was a foreclosure by PHH Mortgage. PHH Mortgage proceeded to conduct eviction proceedings against 2 units on the property. Thereafter, PHH Mortgage granted the property to another mortgage consolidator so that it was under bank ownership from 2012 forward. I had hoped Mr. Cross could provide information on occupancy, but he is not here tonight.
Excuse me, he is here. I just saw him at the front door. He hasn't come in yet, but he's here.
Could you ask him this question, please?
And the question was there occupancy in the building from
The question
2012
is-
on?
The question is, when was there last an occupant in the building?
He's not paying attention.
Tom Cross? Yes. For the record, thank you. How are you today? Not too bad. Thanks for coming. I know that you've been at all of these meetings, and we appreciate your patience.
Chair would like to talk
The chair has a question to try to help us make a decision. Do you know if from 2012 on, to the best of your knowledge, has there been any occupants in that building next door at 133 Cedar Street? In your best estimate, how many years?
Since it's been occupied,
Yeah, since anybody's lived in it.
well, I'd probably go even beyond that, back to probably 2009. That's just a rough guess.
Thank you.
You want a copy?
Thank you.
Attorney Flick, do you have any information you can provide us with regards to occupancy?
I do not at this time.
Okay. Would you like the opportunity to be able to research that and provide us with some information?
I had received some questions earlier today from Attorney Tree, and I didn't quite understand what the question was that she was asking. I think I have a better grasp on this 10-year question that she's asking, that she's presenting now.
I do want to just interject real quick. Madam Chair, do you need to switch? I know you had a conflict tonight.
I do.
Is that now?
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
we still have some questions. I think there still needs to be some dialogue. Do you want to take this out of order tonight?
I think let me do this. I think in order to address the next question that's coming up, we already have two findings on the record, which I appreciate and thank you for. As much as I don't want to continue this matter, I would prefer to bring this matter to a close if we could tonight. Perhaps it would be prudent to request a continuance so that I could look at this now that I have a better understanding of what Attorney Tree's, Chair Tree's question is regarding this change in the law in 2016, and could address that at the next meeting. And my client has not been able to. He's not appeared yet tonight, so.
Would you like it to push this out to October? And then hopefully we can,
Oh, we are in October.
I'm sorry, November. I'm optimistic that the
Yeah.
winters aren't coming.
Let me say that I anticipate being back on the meeting in approximately 45 minutes if you wanted to wait and take a vote on a continuance at that point in time.
I think given the situation and that we're getting closer to the time period at hand, I think it would be better use of my time to request a continuance at this point and continue the matter now.
Until November?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Do we need to have a signature? I don't have.
A signature should be obtained. And I'm going to exit the meeting at this point in time as you do not need me there for the continuance vote.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
see you later this evening. Thank you, everybody.
Great. So we're going to put a motion on the table for ZBA 2022-06, Olson Lucian for the property at 133 Cedar Street, and that's going to be a continuance until November 8th.
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Attorney Flick, if we could just kindly ask for a signature for
Michael?
Continuance.
1 minute, yeah.
Fill the rest in a minute.
Come on up, yep.
We do have a continuance, but if you have a brief comment, I think it's,
I just want to know what was presented before I get in my. I wanted to get a vote.
no real new evidence has been presented tonight.
No evidence, so could I have anything to add to this right now that I haven't added before. Everything I
I
had.
couldn't answer that, but I would say hopefully November will be we'll be able to come to a vote.
Attorney Clerk present tonight, and we have this quickly.
Nothing.
So it's status,
Just that he was anxious to move forward.
so it's just status quo from the last.
Yes.
And the next meeting is going to be when?
It'll be November 8th
In this building.
in this building. This is our new home on the second Tuesday of
Every month.
the month.
That's election day, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We can't do it.
Okay,
Wait a
so
minute.
I have to
Wait a
sign
minute.
this, right?
Michael, that's election day.
Is the 8th election day?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
We won't be meeting on election day.
No, we won't.
No. So,
Saturday it is 15th.
I guess we're gonna have to do the 15th, right?
Bring that to your attention because a lot of people are going to be voting, poll watching, or whatever. Good point.
Tuesday? 8th.
Oh, November, yeah.
Push out to
Right
the
there.
15th?
Sure, if everybody else can make it.
I mean, I'm not
15th of November, sound good?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
It's okay with Brian. Jimmy?
So it's the 15th.
15th.
Jim? 15th of November?
For the record, do you acknowledge we've changed that?
That's fine.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's going to be November 15th in this building.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that's provided there's no conflict with other
That's
boards,
today's answer.
city council.
That's today's answer.
Looks like we have to make notice for Dream Flip. We need a signature there, right? And we need to change that to the 15th. Okay, are we catching up or are we getting behind?
Behind.
The next case before us is ZBA 2022-30, Daniel Diaz for 80 South Street.
Michael, I was not here for this one last meeting, just so you know.
And haven't read the minutes, correct? Okay, perfect. Gentlemen,
Good evening.
good evening. For the record, please state your names.
Mark Scriver, architect on the project.
Tony Molina, the owner, one of the owners.
Thank you. Okay, so we always have dilemmas, right? Our chair is absent for a bit. She has a conflict, won't be back till later tonight. One of our board members, Greg Babineau, was not at the first meeting, right? Didn't have a chance to read the minutes, okay? So we have 4 members. That's a quorum. For us to move ahead tonight, we can do so, okay? But you're going to need a unanimous vote. So I want to give you some options, right? Number one, we can move ahead right now. The other thing we could do is take you out of order and wait a little bit till she comes back, and then we'll have a full voting board.
So we'll go from 4 to,
We'll go to 5.
5.
Right? So you need a supermajority, you need 4 to 1 for it to carry. But I do want to give you that option, you know, especially when we get down to the 4 count.
sure.
So the good thing is, we're kind of moving along tonight,
See that?
right? So, you know, I just want to give you that prerogative, that option.
So I take it everybody's got the most recent submittal of all the information that we've sent through the building
I
commissioner?
think we've got most everything.
Okay.
Yep.
See you, Mark. I'm good either way. So,
Did you submit something in the last couple days?
No.
Okay,
So it was submitted last week.
Email I sent everyone.
okay. Was there a document in that?
Yeah, there were attachments.
I'm just pulling up a document that she had, oh, she's got it. You got it printed? Nice. Okay. Okay, so you have given us some construction estimates, a list of similar projects, right?
Yep.
And some kind of feedback with regards to sections within our zoning.
We had submitted the Macris sheet as well for the property. And the project description. And then the set of documents that were
Floor
updated.
plans.
Plans, exterior
That.
elevations.
And, you know, as everybody's aware, we did have an opportunity to view the property, which is most helpful.
Sure.
So we appreciate the time and the effort in putting all of that together. I know it took time on everybody's day. So, what do you think? Do you want to move ahead? Do you want to wait a little bit tonight? I know you're anxious to move on the project, so that's why I do want, you know, we have the opportunity to wait a bit and still proceed tonight,
Right.
you know, but it's your call.
Not the expert.
It would certainly be safer if we had an extra vote.
Did you want to look at
I think so.
So why don't we just slip on the agenda
Okay,
toward the back and wait for the chair to come back?
that would be great. We have a few more cases. I do know that there is at least one that is being postponed, so again, it's not going to be an 11:30 night.
Excellent.
We like that.
We've had too many of those recently.
Right.
But and I guess maybe just a simple vote from the board to take this out of order and put it at later tonight.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Have some coffee, enjoy the show. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so, now we've got 7:05. I only recognize you because you've been coming here since before my granddaughter was born. Ruth, correct?
Yes, sir.
So your case was earlier tonight?
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
know. I apologize. I come like 2 hours to get
That's
here.
okay. So I'm going to make
Traffic.
it just real brief.
Yes, sir.
We gave you until January, okay? On January 10th, this is going to give you a chance to kind of finish things up and then come before us, okay?
Yes, sir.
So we don't need to do anything tonight. You're all set?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I apologize for all this extended, but it's not on me. City Hall keep asking for more things and more things.
Now,
so-
however, if your project, if you see that it's going to be complete before then, okay, you can call the building department, and if there is an opportunity for us to get you on in December, we will try to do that, okay?
Okay. So it's supposed to finish in a week, but if we finish, what we do? So,
Okay, so you need a final visit to the board to review, to make sure all the conditions that were put into the special permit have been met, that you
Okay.
have accomplished all of those.
Okay, sir.
Yep.
Thank you very
And
much.
then if all those are met, the board will make a vote to approve the application, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so again, one of the conditions is that you cannot be issued an occupancy permit to allow anybody to move in until the project is complete. So if you think it is going to be done in the next week or two, you might want to call the building department and ask for Kathleen and
Okay.
let her know that you would like to get on the agenda ahead,
Okay, sir.
okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a nice day, thank you for
You
coming.
too. Thank you.
He's the
Okay.
project manager.
I'm sorry. You're here for this case as well?
My name is Lazaro Paulino. I manage property for the company that is doing the renovation.
Okay?
And
Contractor.
that I just got some information that they closed on a plumbing permit, electrical, and fire alarms, and they're just waiting on approval of the sprinkler system.
Okay. So it sounds like you probably want to come back in November versus January.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just waiting on final touches on the sprinkler system. All the surroundings is done, everything inside, just waiting on the sprinkler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
He didn't.
again,
But tell him, he said he did.
just so everybody kind of knows what's going on, the final visit
Was there today.
to our board will be to go through the checklist on everything that we had asked to be done. And if the board, if those are satisfied, the board will make a motion to allow the occupancy, but there's no occupancy to the building until the project is completed. Okay?
Thank you.
We called the final inspection, but didn't pass because the sprinklers company has to fix something that the city hall want to be fixed, and that is all that we are waiting for.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you.
Okay, next case before us is ZBA 2021-14, the property at 220 to 222 Albee Street. Is somebody here for that particular case?
He was here.
Do you have the last
Thinking the same.
document for that case?
That's a good question. Godfrey's gone, he sold it.
Oh, yes?
Was that in July? No, I don't think so. No.
Somebody's living there.
Because,
Yes.
What's his name still on? We gonna run the same?
no, because I think it was a July decision, wasn't it? And Christine has not got those decisions to me.
Yep, I talked to them. Nice couple from Revere.
We pulled a permit on that one. We told him to
nothing
take it.
about it.
He left, he's gotta reapply. We can't. Is this a whole complete new?
I don't know. Because at the last,
Oh, it was supposed to be reviewed in June, and it didn't happen. That's what happened. That's why they're here, because I couldn't find anything in June for them.
Thank you, Cap.
Thank you.
When he walked out, he says he was gonna sell it, and he didn't care about it. So this application's coming. Gotta be redone.
let me just look at this real quick.
Resubmitted.
I know you made a comment earlier about the deed, it was recorded.
The deed for which property?
Bobby Street.
Oh, it was recorded. So there,
I believe Christine may have researched that.
okay. Were there occupancy permits?
No, there should never been.
Right. My contention.
There's no, yeah, couldn't have. 'Cause we didn't pay, we didn't
Right.
give him the permit.
Right.
Because he left, he said, I'm walking.
So they're
around
living there
selling
without
it. I don't care.
occupancy permits.
I'm selling it or I sold it, one or the other.
He sold it. I met them
I
all.
apologize, but I
I
didn't
asked him to be here tonight.
leave it from
Yeah, but
that.
this is a problem. Resubmit for a special permit.
I had
Brian
Brian speak
said
to
people have just
Christine, and
moved
she
into
asked
it.
him to come tonight.
Okay.
So maybe you could
I don't know.
check with Mark,
I don't know why they're living there.
to see if they've been given an occupancy
That
permit.
should have
'cause
been
that means
recorded
that
against the deed and the title
not
search.
looking at these.
I don't know, because I don't, does the building department issue occupancies, or it's still the Board of Health?
I understand.
I think it's Board of Health.
This couple from Revere bought it. Knew nothing about it.
But I'll have to find out, so.
But they were told they should appear tonight.
Um,
You gonna call it, Mike?
I'm going to probably kick this one out to November 15th.
Which one, Godfrey?
That's for that motion, I think.
Right now? Is there anybody here for it?
No. The owners are not here.
The owners aren't here, Mike.
Yeah.
That's,
I'm just going to
Stop.
open this case up for
Sure.
some discussion.
Okay.
Brian, you had mentioned that you were at the property today,
I was, yep.
and people are living in the property.
That's correct.
Okay.
According to them, they closed on the property about 2.5 weeks ago.
Commissioner Barbadora.
Yes,
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just have I think, a procedural question. You're familiar with the 220 to 222 Albee Street case?
Yes.
Correct? Brian, as you heard, mentioned that there are people living in the building. And it looks like one of our conditions states that an occupancy permit won't be issued until everything's completed. Is that the building department or the Board of Health that we could ask that question?
Well, a certificate of occupancy is issued by the building department. My question to the board is, are there things that are not done that still need addressing?
Well, I think we're kind of a little bit in a quandary here tonight because it appears that the original applicant sold the property, correct? And another property owner was bringing the project to completion, and if the information that board member Brian Gallagher has mentioned is it's been sold again. So I guess we probably never got to that point.
Mr. Chair, does that mean that the petitioner is still valid?
That's another question.
In my recollection, when this Kevin Godfrey appeared for us in June or July, as he left, he said he's selling the property, so he doesn't care about getting the special permit.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
Is this a review of a special permit decision?
Yeah.
Is there a violation or a deficiency that needs to be addressed?
Well, I guess my question would be, right, the chicken and the egg, does the applicant come to the board, right? Or when the building department issues an occupancy permit, do they look at the list of conditions to make sure they're satisfied before they issue the occupancy permit?
So the answer is the building department, excuse me, as the zoning enforcement officer's agent, the building inspector looks at the decision and then renders a finding whether or not the project satisfies the decision. And based on that, would issue a certificate or withhold one.
Was that the case with this property?
I don't know. I would have to say that the answer would be yes, but without talking to the inspector, I won't be able to I won't be able to confirm that.
Okay. Well, right, it's the board field. We want to just push this one into November and, I guess we need to get some closure to it, right?
Right.
maybe we all make a site visit and
Right.
check the property out. I don't see any sunset clause put on this, which, as Mr. Reynolds brought up, if there was and it was sold, then right, it would have to start over.
Doesn't a special permit travel with the ownership, not with the property?
I don't know.
I don't believe necessarily.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Special permits, once issued and acted on, are permanent, and properties can be bought and sold. And as long as the use conforms to the permit, then the special permit is satisfied. However, if the board decides to put conditions on that would cause the special permit to expire, such as sale or transfer, then the permit would expire at that point. But without any specific language stating that in the decision, then the special permit remains permanent and the building can be sold as long as the use remains in conformance and the property is maintained in conformance with the special permit is valid.
Thank you for the clarification. I know in a lot of cases in the past, we have put conditions with regards to the sale and the sunset clause. And just to point out that one of the recent meetings, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at a different document. Do we have the most recent minutes for this one? Could you give that to me?
No, because that's June's. This is the only other one I have. You gave me that, and you,
Oh, I gave it back.
that, you gave it back to me.
Okay. Any feedback from the board? Do we want to go till next month? And either consult with the building department to make sure that the department itself feels the conditions were satisfied, and we could also make a site visit as well.
Sure.
I would agree to that.
Okay, so if I could get a motion.
I make a motion on ZBA 2021-14, 220 to 222 Albee Street, that be continued until next month, which would be November 8th, November 15th.
Yeah.
Great. Second, please.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, this is just to confirm that all conditions have been met. Okay?
Correct.
All right. Next case is ZBA 2022-31. And I'm going to take a crack at Yale Dario Riccio. How'd I do? Great. Come on up, have a seat. Okay, and you are here tonight for a special permit to open up a motor vehicle body and paint shop. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the business?
Yeah, my English bad, sorry, sir. He talking.
Thank you.
So, my name is Lazaro Paulino. I'm just here to interpret.
Gotta speak a little louder.
Lazaro Paulino. I'm just here
You
to
spell that?
interpret. Lazaro. Paulino. Paulino.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Joel wants to open up auto body repair in the Cully Street address. It used to be auto body repair back in the days, probably 5, maybe 7 years ago. It used to be Central Mass Auto Body on College Street. And he just, he been doing business in Lunenburg for about 7 years, renting, doing the same.
Yeah, what location in Lunenburg?
381 Mass Ave.
Okay, at the top of the hill on the left after?
Yes, in the back garages.
After Walmart?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe 3 years ago, he bought a property in town. So he had a chance to buy this property, so he wants to bring his business into town and not keep it in Lunenburg. And he had a chance to buy this property, and he just want to come back, bring his business back into the Fitchburg area. He been getting advice from Harold Mateo, but he's not available to be online right now because he's on a flight. So he's advising him on how to go about open up the business. And he's looking to bring in a brand new spray booth into the building, which was removed when the old body shop closed down, and they turned the place into just a repair shop for a few years. So he's looking into newer technology spray booth to put in that satisfy everything with permits, and since this certain location here is kind of commercial and residential.
Okay.
Anybody here for?
Before we get too deep into the presentation, typically, when somebody comes to us with a commercial type business, we want to see a plot plan that shows where vehicles are going to be parked, how many, what's going to be paved, and all that. The other question that I have, just by looking at the plot plan that was shown, is it looks like the building's on 2 different parcels.
There is a little corner on the right-hand side that the property been there since back in the days, and a little bit of the property is in the next door neighbor. He put up a fence, so they don't use his side of the property, which is, ¿cómo que el nombre de la propiedad? I think Robert, I think he owns the property across the street. He has a cabinet business. He has multiple properties in town. He's right across the street, and he also owns that piece of land. And you can see in that pad plan, he has another corner of property across the street on a corner. I don't know how that happened, but there's plenty of space for the business that he's gonna be doing. I tried to explain to him earlier about that plot plan that he has to do, stating where everything is gonna go.
Yeah.
So he's kind of learning how to go about the stuff, and where he is now, he just rents. So nothing that is around have to do with him.
Yeah, yeah. So just, again, I think we're going to probably have to come back next month. But I don't want to make that decision. Before we proceed, does the board want to see a plot plan?
I'd like to see a certified plot plan, sir.
Okay. So,
He was more kind of going by because the place used to be auto body shop
Yeah.
back in the days.
No.
He was
Still done.
that's kind of irrelevant. I will tell you this, it's always been general automotive repair. It hasn't been an auto body shop. Prior to the previous owner, it was auto repair
Yeah, the previous owner was an auto repair.
for 20, 30 years. But again, that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
So what we're going to need for the next meeting is a registered certified plot plan, right? And on the plan, if you're going to have employee vehicles, where they're going to be parked, if you're going to have vehicles that are going to be in for repair, if there's going to be a dumpster, where that's going to be, how it's going to be screened in, and then it'll allow us to look at the plan, okay? I think some of the things you probably want to be prepared to talk about is what's going to be done to the building. You know, is that little part of the building on the left that's falling down, is that going to be removed? I think the board in general, before we see anything, and again, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of the board in previous cases, the whole property right now is filled with abandoned vehicles, parts, tires.
Yeah, that's on the previous.
Yeah, I would just say that when you come back before us next month, if that property is clean and all that's removed, that would be a good
Harbinger
start.
of good news.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else that the board would like to see for next month?
We also, just to put it on record, he was talking to Robert, which owns that little parcel next door, to see if he buys it from him, because a little bit of the building is inside the property.
Yes.
And it's been like that forever.
Yes, it shows that there's quite a bit. And our chairperson is not with us tonight. She'll be back in a little bit. She's the attorney for the board.
Yeah.
She may definitely have some concerns or input with regards to issuing a special permit where the building is on somebody else's property. So a lot of little things here that we kind of need to get over.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions from us?
Well, maybe he could get a kind of a letter of everything that he needs to do, so he could have an idea of, and go down the line and take care of them
There's
before the
probably a
next
lot
meeting.
more than he probably realizes, right? Because once you start to do work on a building, it requires building permits and things along that nature. So I would recommend that maybe the both of you come to the building department and just talk through some general things that you anticipate doing to the building. And
I think
myself.
the only thing that he's gonna be doing is just bringing in the spray booth, and the company that does it does all the paperwork and
Sure.
all the building permits and whatever they gotta do.
Please. Thank you.
Que tiene que venir, sí, porque eso es lo que ellos me digan, ellos vienen y hacen, pasa a ver todos los planes, eso que tienen que hacer, que ellos sacan todo. Sí, pero tienen que tener que hacer eso. Por ejemplo, dile que Que ya yo me di un estimado y que más o menos.
Okay. I think it's good to get some good advice there. So I think the intention of the board is to, when we talk about the things that you're gonna go and do, and you mentioned the spray booth, that's good. But what we're looking at is like a picture, right?
Yes, that's going to be included. That's going to
Right,
be
which
included
will- which
inside
will be
the
which will be
plan.
Which will be the plot plan.
Yeah.
But also, what's important for us is to understand, as was mentioned earlier, how will it operate? Where will people park? How will people move around? Because the outcome that we're trying to get to is a good business for the owner and a good business for the city. So, for example, things like abandoned cars and piled up cars, that's what we're saying, let's make the property look right. And the exhibits that Michael, that the chair is talking about, talking through with the building department, will just help you with some of those details and hopefully give you a better confidence, because none of this is supposed to be a gotcha. We're not trying to surprise you, but we're not you, so we can't tell you what you're gonna do,
Yeah.
if that's helpful.
Yes. I told him to come to the first meeting so he could kind of know what is
The flow.
all the stuff is
Yeah.
and everything that's going to be asked.
Yep.
Because this is the first time that he's going to be opening up his own.
When I mentioned go to the building department, I really would like you to do that, so you understand what needs to be done, and don't expect that the company that puts the spray booth in is going to take care of everything. Because there are things that I don't know. Again, as Mr. Reynolds brought up, there probably will be surprises that you don't know about. We want you to find those out early.
Yeah, you got to do...
The roof, does it need to be inspected? The building itself.
Yeah.
I will tell you, because I've lived in this city for a long time, and that business was horrific down there, whoever had it prior to you. The businesses that are doing automotive in that area, not good.
Yeah.
That's not what the city has for an expectation on how businesses should be run. So take a look around, and hopefully you're going to be the one that says, I'm doing it right.
Probably sets to go and make everybody else clean.
We want you to set the example. Right?
Because you're so close to, on the other side of it, of all the renovated houses, and everything is clean, and then you have the big parking lot in between, and it's open just to see everything that is back there.
But again, because of what they're doing, doesn't mean we're expecting
To keep it.
Automotive business, you have vehicles that have been in car accidents.
For a long time.
We don't want the whole property just filled up with cars that all need to be repaired.
Yeah.
So is 30 days enough? Because a plot plan is a bit of a lengthy process. Do you need a couple months?
Probably a couple of months.
Okay.
Because I know to get a hold of somebody to do it, everybody's so busy right now, is to get a hold of someone to.
So we go December
everything,
for you?
And then for him to get the previous owner to get all his stuff out of there and clean up everything, and then get the inspectors, and probably, have a plumber and have an electrician go through the property and make sure everything is up to date, and maybe have a building inspector go through the building and see how everything is. If anything else in the building needs to be taken care of.
Okay.
Before.
So how about, does December 13th work for you? And then if you need more time, just contact the building department a couple of weeks before and let them know that if you need to push it out to January, and we can do that. That way, you won't have to come to the meeting and say, I need more time.
Okay.
You know, it'll save you.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll give you some time to pull everything together.
All right.
Okay?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Please.
And this is to the applicant. Is your intent to use the entire building?
Para trabajar.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you've seen this plan, but this plan looks like there's at least a quarter of the building, not a little piece of it, on the abutters lot.
Yes,
Have you
we talked about that earlier.
Okay. All right.
When we were doing the purchase of the building, he came up with a number for that piece of land, and he was waiting for him to purchase the property to then approach the owner to see if he make a deal with him, because that would help him a lot with space-wise on both ends of the building. He doesn't have any problem, the building being where it is when we spoke to him, but he put up a Lincoln fence where his property line is up to the building. So just whatever is in his property, you cannot go anywhere towards it. So he linked the fence at his line on the building and the back too.
Great. Okay, so just real quick, I'm going to ask board members just to give you some feedback on what they kind of want to see on the plan, right? So that way we can try to be as thorough up front, okay, and get this project moving for you.
Thank you.
Greg, do you have any?
Well, typical things like days of the week that you intend to run the business, hours of operation.
Yeah.
Things like that we typically ask, you know.
Okay, so we have hours of operation, okay? Think about when you come back. Brian?
Designated parking.
So again, as I had mentioned, parking for employees, parking where vehicles that are kind of in the queue waiting to be serviced.
To repair.
Okay. Tell us about what you're going to do to the building to, you know, as far as renovations for its appearance, where it's going to be paved, and parking space size. The engineers can typically help you with that. Where's the dumpster going to be for removal? Our expectation is everything is in the dumpster and not piled up in a corner of the building. You know, just some of those things, lighting, things along that line. Okay. Any other, Joe?
Yes, I want to make sure that when you come back that the land on that owned by Galvin is squared away so that we know exactly what we're doing when it comes to the building.
Chop it off.
Because it's like a quarter of the building is on somebody else's property.
It's kind of cornered.
Yeah, we see it right here.
Yeah, it's kind of like the corner in the front is more into it than the rear.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know how that went about back in the days.
We don't either.
Motion.
So I'm going to ask for a motion for December 13th. So continue.
I make a motion, ZBA 2022-31, 56 Cully Street be continued until December 13th meeting. At that time, we would like to have the requirements of the board met, such as parking plans and other things that were mentioned.
Including registered certified plot plan.
Right.
Okay, could I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. December 13th,
Thank you.
and if something comes up, building department,
Let us
able
know.
to help you, just let them know. If you have any questions, they'll be able to help as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a good night.
Guys,
Be good.
Mike. The abutter should be here to sign off on that too, right? Buildings
I
on his
just want to
property.
open it up and keep it going, so,
Yeah.
we can hear from
Christine advised that with
next
me.
meeting. Okay, so next
It's on his
we
property.
have,
That's going to be fair.
um,
I'll make a motion.
just for the record, ZBA 2022-32, the PCM Auto Repairs and Sales, Inc. for 33 Pritchard Street. The applicant has asked for a continuance on this case. We're going to put that on for December 13th.
November 15th,
Michael,
30 days.
the owner of 133 Cedar Street is here, and he doesn't understand.
hold
Yeah.
I'm sorry, November
15th.
15th. Do we have a lot of cases on in November?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
I haven't received them.
Great. So if I could have a motion on that, it would
I'd
be
like to
great.
make a motion on ZBA 2022-32, 33 Pritchard Street, be continued until November 15th.
In a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Olson, how are you? Your attorney was here earlier, so the case is being continued until next month. I'm sorry?
Come up further, we can't hear you.
He came and spoke, or he just?
Yes, he did.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was apparently waiting for you or something, and he mentioned you got caught up in traffic, or...
It was hard, I worked on other properties, and I was trying to get it.
I believe you wholeheartedly. There were some questions that our attorney on the board and he had, and he
Gonna
requested to
research the
continue it still next month so he could do some research. Yep. Okay. Have a good evening. Quarter of 8. It's going to be a record.
Doing wonderful.
Okay.
So are you?
Christine is on her way, Michael.
Great. So the next case is
I don't
ZBA...
I don't feel comfortable starting for another 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you. I'm with you. I was anxious.
You're on fire.
You have almost a minute.
Figure this out.
So PCM is continued, correct?
That's mine.
Okay.
Ma'am, what case are you here for?
Here as a butter for 109 St. Joseph.
Okay. Thank you. That case is next. Procedurally, I have to wait another, I don't know, till the bell rings. Thank you for taking the time to come tonight.
How many minutes we got, Mike? I'm gonna go use
No,
the
we
bathroom.
got 15 seconds.
Okay.
You have one. Okay. No toxics. You ready?
I can't find it. It's making me crazy.
At the morning.
Okay, I think we're ready. The next case is ZBA 2022-33, Christopher Cordio for a property at 109 Oak Hill Road. Special permit to open a restaurant under 181-313, located in residential C district.
How you doing today?
Mr. Cordio?
How you guys doing?
Very well,
Doing
thank
well.
you. If you could tell us about your application, please.
Yeah, what we're looking to do, I spoke with Mark Barbadoro about,
Because I try to keep the meetings, like, as compressed as I can. Did you supply us with the registered certified plot plan?
yes. It was in that application. They gave me the right one? Maybe they gave me a more an inspection plan. I think I actually put in a mortgage inspection plan on accident, so, of the property lines.
Yeah, I see it here. It's actually upside down on the package.
Okay, so, before we get in to the case, does the board want to see a registered certified plot plan showing parking?
I think we need to,
Yeah,
yeah.
we need to, according to.
Okay.
Mr. Reynolds? Whatever the board wants, I'm with it.
Do you have one?
I do not, know.
Is that something that you can get for us for next month?
Probably, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I could.
Okay. Does the board want to hear some opening statements on the case, or do you want to?
I'd like to.
We can find stuff, we can get you.
Okay, and then we could hear from the abutters, since she's taken the time to come down.
Excuse me.
Okay. You have the floor.
So our plan is to turn this into like a pub grill style. So we obviously have plenty of parking. Everyone on this board understands what St. Joe's Club. It's been in operation since 1926. So it's been a bar, social club / bar for as long as any of us have been alive. So our goal is to essentially, we have nothing between, as a lifelong Fitchburg resident, we have nothing between South Street and the highway on our side of town. We have Clegon House of Pizza, Park Hill House of Pizza, nowhere else to go. Us in the Clegon neighborhood, where I live, up off of Oak Hill Road, we have to travel either to the other side of Fitchburg, Westminster, or Gardner to go get any type of like pub food or beers or any type of entertainment. So our goal here is to take the first floor and essentially turn it into like almost like a Cheers, keep the pool tables, that intimate feel, that 1 and 2 person singing at night, 20 beers on tap, and then upstairs we're looking to turn it into like we're going to use it as a function hall or that you could rent where we can cater it, or you can bring your own food as well. And also like, when you get a couple of the 3 and 4 person bands to play at night, be able to have them play in the bigger space upstairs, and also enjoy the outdoor dining. We have plenty of dining out back, so we're going to put a nice white vinyl fence up. We're going to update all the sprinkler system in there. There's no sprinkler system. We're going to bring the furnace up to code, bring the electrical up to code. We have about a $350,000 budget that we're dumping into a building, in the center of Clegon, which, as all of us know, has been forgotten about for a long time. And unfortunately, that area it's a tough area to do anything in. So I think bringing something to the Clegon neighborhood is only going to help. I've spoken to a lot of the members of the former St. Joe's Club, and a lot of them are looking for a place to go back and play pool again, and a place to kind of congregate, because again, we don't have that. Most of them now congregate at St. Anna's. St. Camilla's up there on Fish Fry night, you know what I mean? So there's nowhere for people to go on our side of town. You can go to Game On, but you're traveling all the way up the windy, industrial road, log cabin, but everything else has kind of gone wayside in our neighborhood, I guess, you know what I mean? So our goal in purchasing this building, we paid a premium, $250,000 for this, piece of property in Clegon, essentially. So, we do a lot of business in the city by buying houses. We fix them up, we flip them. We're going to do the same thing with the St. Joe's Club, but we're going to keep it. New roof, new siding, beautiful curb appeal, new greenery. We're going to pave the parking lot at the end, and we're looking to add on a 22 by 22 commercial kitchen to the left side of the bar here where the employees used to park. To have that updated commercial kitchen to serve both upstairs and downstairs in that pub style. So that's what we're looking to do. And it's a lot of money. It's a big investment for me. You know, I own it outright. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to keep it. So I'm from Fitchburg, born and raised. So for me to dump, you know, $500,000, it's a big investment into that part of the city for us. So that's where we're at right now.
Great, great. Okay, before I turn it over to the board for questioning or expectations and what they might want to see for the next meeting, ma'am, for the record, your name, please, and your address.
I prefer not to give my address on public record.
Well, that's okay. Your name again? I'm sorry. Elaine Karasha? Did I say that wrong? No. Okay. Great. If you'd like to stand, just so we could hear you a little better, and then just if you have.
I have a statement.
Okay. Was that Oz?
That's man behind the curtain.
They're talking from somewhere.
Okay. Well, regarding the conversion of the private St. Joseph Social Club to a commercial bar grill, I'm a longtime resident of Cleghorn. Our family has lived here for over 80 years. First, regarding Mr. Cordio's history of the club, while it may have been established in 1916, it did not occupy the location in question until the 1960s, when a small church was torn down and relocated. That is when the structure we are discussing was built. This change from church to social club was still in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. It was a relatively small congregation of people with similar interests, in this case playing pool. The club was open limited hours, it hosted pool tournaments, it rented space for occasional celebrations and repasts. The hours it operated fit well into an established residential area, and because it was a club, the people who congregated there upheld certain standards of conduct and behavior and respected that they were in a residential area. It was kept clean, and because it did not serve food on a regular basis, it did not attract the rodents that live by the Nashua River just down the hill from its location. And yes, there is evidence that there is a rodent problem down by the river. Just check out the diner on River Street and the Cumberland Farms for their rodent traps. There's a huge difference between a commercial for-profit business operating as a restaurant, bar, and nightclub and a small semi-private social club. As a commercial venture, Mr. Cordio is proposing the restaurant maybe serving lunch, dinner, as well as having a bar with entertainment, probably 7 days a week. I have no idea what he is proposing regarding hours of operation, especially as weekends, as I have not seen any mention of it. Since he is also proposing entertainment, I'm concerned about noise levels, especially for those residents who need to get sufficient sleep to go to work and school. This section of Cleghorn is a quiet area. It has many families with children who ride bicycles and play in the streets. Attracting more people to this area would be a danger to them between the traffic and the potential to bring in too many strangers. To quote Mr. Cordio, people are always coming and going. The building is also located directly in the vicinity of several school bus stops. This restaurant, bar, entertainment space has the potential to become a hangout for the less savory elements that are in our area, an area where there are numerous drug arrests and gang issues. This area also has some of the worst road conditions and treacherous intersections in Fitchburg. I shudder to think of what an increase in car and delivery truck traffic will cause. Another area of concern is the smell of kitchen exhaust, which really cannot be completely eliminated. For example, there is a marijuana grower in the old Ann Welk building just down the street. In spite of all of their top-of-the-line air circulation systems, you can still smell the pot growing inside the building. When the former McDonald's, now the Cumberland Farms, was in business, you could smell the Friolator exhaust. A full restaurant so close to residences is going to create more air problems. As previously mentioned, a full restaurant in this area could serve to attract rodents and other animals to the neighborhood, such as the bear that was recently hiking along the banks of the Nashua. Mr. Cordio does not state having any previous experience in the restaurant bar industry. It can be a brutal and barely profitable business, and one that I believe he will not be in for too long. He has himself stated that he buys, fixes, and sells dilapidated buildings. And this one, once established, I predict it will be another flip. I do not believe it is in the best interest of this neighborhood to have a full restaurant bar located in it. I do not know how many actual residents of this area are present for the hearing. I do, it's just me. But I would like to point out that of the 134 postcards notifying owners of this hearing, 111 went to out-of-town absentee owners. So I do not believe that there has been sufficient discussions with actual residents, most of whom are renters, to justify approving his action.
Thank you very much. Okay. We need the plan. Yep. Or we've requested the plan. Do we want to talk, ask questions tonight? Do we want to get into the case, or would we rather pick it up when we have something concrete to look at?
Yes, sir. Concrete to look at.
Jim?
I would suggest that we pick it up when we have something concrete to look at, but it'd be smart to share with Mr. Cordio
some expectations
so that when he comes back, we're good.
Great. Do you have any feedback you'd like to provide the applicant on what you'd like to see?
Well, I think the concerns of the residents or the abutters should be heard, so understanding hours of operation, I think would be good. Just as a point of interest, we're here not because of any changes you're making to the size of the building, because I think you're talking about putting on an addition.
Correct, yep.
We're really only here because of the restaurant use.
Yep.
So if you could speak to us about your intentions of the restaurant use, because restaurants will have parking, yep, we do need that plot plan with what people would say, and I would imagine that whatever your plans are around, signs and exterior lights.
Yep.
Because that may impact the, the neighborhood. That'd be good to understand.
Yep.
That's it for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Joe, Mr. Byrne.
No, I don't have anything other than what's normally required. Hours of operation, plot plan for parking. I was thinking. No, that's okay.
Dumpster?
Mr. Gallagher.
Okay, yes, thank you. I believe I'm looking at a rough sketch of the augmentation that's planned to go on the side of the building, the kitchen. Do you have a more detailed plan?
That's coming. I'm just waiting on it right now.
Okay, I would like to see that in the next meeting as well. That's all I have.
Mr. Cordio, I'm just a curiosity question. Have you ever opened or run a restaurant?
So I actually used to own University Pizza, which I sold to Macario's Kitchen, and I was a partner in Mill City Pub with my cousin. So I have done both the cooking side and the bar side. So I am very familiar with how tough it is and how hard it is, because when we purchased Mill City from the Iron Horse, which was obviously a very rundown, ugly business over on Bemis Road and Airport Road. So we were able to bring that one back up, and my cousin ended up buying me out, which in turn, I bought this building over here. So I do have the experience in both the alcohol and the restaurant side as well. And I was a police officer in Fitchburg for 10 years, so I understand the neighborhood very well over here. So I know the dynamics. I understand the investment being made. So it doesn't, I understand some of Elaine's concerns here, but, the buses and stuff being an issue. I mean, we're going to open, 11 to 2, so we're not really running into bus hours. And the club had just as many people during the day drinking, during pool tournaments. I don't feel like there's going to be a larger influx of vehicles parked in our parking lot, and it's only so big anyway, so
Yeah.
I feel like we'll be running almost equal with what the St. Joe's did, because their final numbers before closing were pretty impressive on what they were putting through for the amount of alcohol and trucks for deliveries as well that were going through that place, so so we do have the
Okay.
experience of that.
I think you got a big uphill battle here. I drove by the property, but that's up to you and your money, I guess. But I'm sure that you'd probably be required to put in a grease trap at huge expense. So
That's what
but
that additional
just-
building's for, that commercial kitchen, just
Yep.
so everything's state-of-the-art and everything's
Yep.
brand new. Obviously, the St. Joe's had a very small little kitchen on the second floor. It was nothing you could really do too much out of.
Right. So just to be clear, you know, in addition to all the compliance from the building department, the Board of Health, obviously, you will be required to meet certain conditions of the zoning board, one of which will certainly be, and you mentioned it, paving that lot, because you really can't put a plot plan down on that asphalt. There's not much
Yep.
asphalt left. So just a lot, there's a lot here. I know a little bit about this.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I feel like on a good note, my company, we do a lot of the work ourselves. That's where we're able to save and invest into this area. I'm a licensed CSL, so I can pull I've already had a lengthy discussion with Mr. Barbadoro and the health department regarding what has to be done with sprinklers and electrical and heating. So we understand the scope of the work that has to go into this building.
Great. Attorney Tree has joined us.
Yep.
So just to get up to speed, we've asked for a registered certified plot plan, but in light of when he comes back to kind of be able to check all the boxes off, what are your expectations on what you would like to see for documentation?
With my apologies if this is a repeat, because I did not hear everything. Parking will be one of the things that we're looking at. Do you know what the square footage of the structure is now?
I believe it's just shy of 3,800 square feet between the second floor and the first floor.
And that's the capacity that's available to customers?
Correct. Yep.
And there's an existing kitchen in there?
There is on the second floor.
Will the installation of the new commercial kitchen outside of that footprint increase the amount of square footage inside?
It will increase it by about 400 square feet.
Are you going to have set tables?
Set tables, correct.
How many seats are you having?
We're still working on that. I spoke with Mr. Barbadoro. Depending on what we do for a sprinkler system, we'll then determine the amount of occupancy that we can have between the first floor and the second floor.
It's my understanding from reading the parking regulations that the number of spaces required is going to be dependent upon the number of seats, or if you do not have set seats. So if you're like a club, people walk about, they don't usually have a set seat, that it would be based on square footage. So if you can provide that at the next meeting, that will help us determine if we
Absolutely.
have adequate parking.
Yeah, not a problem.
And just a brief question, will there be any different handicapped access?
So, correct. We do have one going up to the top level through the back. So Mr. Barbadoro already looked at that one. And we'll be adding a handicap one in the front to go down into the lower level. So we already spoke to him about that. We already talked about where we're going to put it, how we're going to enable it so the handicap accessibility can, because we're looking to do the Keno and the lottery as well. So with Keno and lottery, they do require you to be handicap accessible in anywhere they have the lottery. So.
Great.
Okay. And there'll be entrances at the front, side, and an emergency at the rear?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all the questions I have now. Thank you.
Great. Do we need to see a building plan at some point? Do we need it at the next meeting, or? I know we've asked for a plot plan, but does the board need to see how deep of a dive does the board want to go with the layout?
If the plot plan shows the square footage of the building and that is the basis for calculating parking, then we would be satisfied with the plot plan.
Okay.
if a building plan is need to show that number because the exterior is bigger than the interior, a building plan. If it's going to be based on seating, then we would just need to know the number of seats that are projected.
Okay, not a problem.
And one question for Mr. Barbadoro.
I'm here.
Thank you, Commissioner. Will this require site plan review by the planning board?
You know, it's a tough call because it is a very similar use going into the building that was there before. I think it could probably go either way, depending on the comfort level of the zoning board of appeals. There is ample parking.
What triggers that decision whether it needs to go to planning?
Change of occupancy is a trigger. I can pull it up and read it to you.
No, that's okay. I'm just kind of asking. So, in your opinion, will it need to go to planning?
I'm going to leave that up to you guys because I think I tend to they feel overburdened themselves, that the planning board does, and where most of the infrastructure is already here and in place, and the use as function space is pre-existing, and the use for food service and alcohol service basically also pre-existing. So, you know, that over 500 square feet of addition would be another threshold requirement. So if Chris decides to put a 500 square foot kitchen on the side of the building, that's a threshold for site plan review.
Okay. All right. I guess if it's not going to require site plan review, I know the board typically is going to have questions with regards to that, you know, because it is actually a residential neighborhood versus a commercial. I know I would probably want to see something with regards to that. Rest of the board, any feedback, comments?
We're going to ask for everything we can get.
Okay.
I would agree that if it's not going to undergo site plan review, then understanding what the modifications to the exterior of the building are going to be would be helpful.
Yeah, again, in giving thought to it's a neighborhood, so is there going to be any plantings? Is there going to be beautification of the property?
Yeah, correct. We're going to do the, in front where you see it now, where it's kind of like some tree stuff. We're going to clean it all up, make it all nice.
Yeah.
Along the back fence on the inside, we're going to make it nice as well. Trim some trees in the back because they're like kind of overhanging the building a little bit.
Okay.
New roof, siding. We're obviously going to do all that stuff to bring the building, to beautify the building essentially. So to make it like a brand new building. That's our goal essentially.
All right. Before I ask for a motion for a continuance, any other final thoughts?
I have none.
Okay.
Is he going to put any greenery in the parking lot?
Not in the parking lot. I'm going to do it right up at the building, right along the building. The parking lot's kind of the way it comes down into a point, so we kind of need all the parking we can get in the front of the building, essentially, because of the way it comes down. So,
Do you have a business card if we want to call you to set up a visit, a property visit? Great. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is 30 days enough or?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for a motion for a continuance for November 15th, please.
Make a motion 2022-33, 109 Oak Hill Road be continued until December, what was it, 13th? December 13th? No, November 15th. And at that time, have all the documents requested.
Great. Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you
next
for your
month.
time. We
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Point of clarification, are we not able to meet on November the 8th because of the election?
That's it.
That's why we moved it, yeah.
Thank you.
Christine, did you vote that time? Did you vote this last time?
I did.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep track of who did what.
What are we moving to?
So-
11?
You want to,
Okay,
you want to hear one case tonight?
we'll hear one.
Which ones did you
I've heard
not
3 and a half.
Would you like to chair this case?
Sure.
This one, anyway.
Gentlemen,
Calling,
thank you for your time.
recalling ZBA
Ma'am?
20.
If you would like, we will be having the meeting on November 15th, okay? Not quite sure what time, but if you wanted to, probably in the next couple of weeks, call the building department, and Kathleen will be able to tell you what time the case will be. And please, by all means, if you'd like to come back, we would love to have you.
I will probably come back because I'd like to know what's going on. I don't want this just opened up and, I have no idea what the hours are. I'm very concerned about the
We
hours.
appreciate your involvement, and please mention to any of your neighbors, they are also welcome to participate. Thank you.
Mike, could I be excused for a minute? Absolutely. All right. I'll be right back.
Are we in recess?
Good recess.
John. Which case is this one again?
I think he's leaving.
Michael, which case is this one again?
Oh, so we're coming back, right? We're going to open up ZBA 2022-30.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we in recess, or are we going to
I
continue?
think we're in a bit of a recess.
I think we should be in recess until our esteemed board member returns.
Just had a quick question on the inquiry. For some reason, it shows Daniel Diaz. On the, I don't know if that's going to go on records. It should be KMR2.
Where did that come from?
I
I'm not sure.
like cut and paste.
We're in a state of flux. We have a returned zoning secretary, and she's picking up a lot of pieces.
Yeah. Just curious.
Quick.
for the record.
I know, when I read that tonight, I said,
Something was wrong.
we're going to correct that for the record, though.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
KMR2 Realty LLC?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to tell the board what a great job it's done in moving the agenda forward tonight. I think you've done fantastic.
Gotta slow them down at one point.
Wonderful job.
We still miss having you here.
I appreciate that.
Where I got it.
Oh, okay.
Because that's who signed the petition.
Everything good? So I don't know if you were listening, but because we were down to a quorum, I gave them an opportunity for later in the evening so that we could have a 5-member board. And here we are.
Wonderful.
Now we're good to go.
Thank you both for waiting for my return.
Happily. Thank you.
And thank you as well for the time that you gave us last week to look at the property. I know that we all appreciated it.
I very much value you guys taking the time and coming out and get an idea what we are trying to do and have a mutual understanding of what the project entails.
It's, as you know, it's a prominent building both on South Street and in the history of the city, as it was the former Ivor Johnson building, and then a former convent, although I think little of the interior is left from those uses.
Sadly enough, yeah.
Yeah. So We have a request to alter an existing non-conforming structure for a substantially different purpose, to be used as a multifamily. And I don't think there's any disagreement that that would be a substantially different purpose than the prior use, or any of the uses that we know about. In looking at this request, we have to consider whether the proposed change would be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconformity. Okay, so that is what we're looking at. In looking at that, we are going to retain elements of a traditional special permit in that we're going to look at the effect on the neighborhood. We're going to consider the traffic, because all these elements go into that determination of whether or not it's substantially more detrimental than the previous nonconformity. And I just want to note that we are in the residential C district. Make sure I've got everything straight. And normally this would require a special permit from the planning board. You are separately undergoing site plan review, and it's my understanding from the chair that you've been approved through the site plan review process,
Yes.
right? How many, just to review for the public, how many units will there be in the building?
This is a total of 9 units, comprising 7,458 square feet.
And what is the number of bedrooms and bathrooms per unit?
So we have 1 studio, 3 one-bedroom units, and 5 two-bedroom units.
And what's the range of square footage in each apartment?
So the studio is the smallest that we have at 552 square feet. The largest unit we have is 1,286 square feet, and that's a 2-bedroom unit. And that is on the 3rd floor. So basically, in looking at this and looking at all the code issues, we have one means of egress to that 3rd floor. And there is a code section that says when you have a 3rd floor unit, it's sprinklered if you provide an egress window in each bedroom, egress size window in each bedroom. With the sprinkler, you only need one means of egress. So that being said, our focus on the building was to maintain the existing integrity. We do realize that the main house itself is the more prominent historical structure itself, and the left side of the building is the convent conversion. But we're also recognizing that as being built in history and semi-historic as well. So our real focus was not to change the footprint and not to change the exterior of the building. Basically just renovate and restore the exterior.
So will the building be sprinkled or not?
Yes.
And you've reviewed that thoroughly with the fire department?
Yep, yeah, we knew that was a requirement day one.
Very important in this city.
5 ones and 3 twos?
We have 1 studio, 3 one-bedrooms, and 5 two-bedrooms.
I had it flip-flop. I should know that. I should.
It's okay.
Only a few days ago.
So a total of 9 units.
And one of the residential units is going to be in the garage on the 2nd floor?
That is correct, yes.
And would that be the studio?
Yes.
Okay.
How many parking spaces will be on site?
We have a total, I believe, of, I don't have the sheet in front of me. It's 24, I believe, yes. So we have 2 existing curb cuts. We have one on the left, one on the right. So we're utilizing both, and per the For the city requirements, we have to have a 24-foot wide curb cut, which on the right side we have, but on the left side we have to expand that. So that was part of this special, or the changes we made to the plans relative to the site plan approval. We've also worked out everything, I believe, as far as all the utilities go. They want to scope the sanitary sewer system to make sure it's intact. And then I believe we've already got information relative to the water pressure for the sprinkler system.
I think we have some questions or comments on maintenance of the historical features of the building. And I'm going to ask Mr. Gallagher if you could lead that.
Okay. Yes, certainly. Thank you, Christine. I'm wondering if any consideration has been made with regards to restoring the current slate roof.
Yes, in fact, I had a meeting with a contractor today with regards of trying to repair or restore that slate roof face, and not the whole building, like the back part. It might not be able to do it because it's already compromised, but the front facing the street, I believe he gave us like the okay. He'll be able to restore that. So.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah. No, we love it. I think it's important. Yeah. So,
it's a beautiful attribute to the building. It has Munson slate from Maine on it, and that's about the best you can get. Thank you for saying that.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Gallagher?
Just for clarification purposes, on the north side of the building, I think I remember reviewing that there will be 12 parking spots on the north side. And that is the side of the property where you had mentioned that you're actually going to widen the driveway. Correct. So that's on the convent side. Is that the current plan still, 12 spots there?
Yes.
It was 12 or what, 16? I thought it was 16. I guess we went back and forth a couple of times.
I thought I remembered seeing 12 on the plan.
Yep.
I'm assuming that you mentioned a total of 24.
We went back and forth, that I've been such a mush on that final plans.
I thought the civil engineer was going to attend to answer that, but he may not have made it. I don't think I had that.
We went back down because we wanted to preserve a lot of the green area for, backyard instead of taking. And so we kind of, we went back and forth to just meet the standard with 2 additional spots for visitors. So it's like 1.5 parking per unit.
Right.
And so I think we went back to 12 on that.
I believe the site plan was in the submittal package that we had submitted last week. So I don't know if you have the ability to pull that up and look at that.
Yeah. If my memory serves me right, there was 12 parking spots on the convent side, the northern side of the building. And if I'm to understand correctly, when we were out to visit the site, 2 additional parking places for the studio would actually be in the barn itself. Is that correct?
Yes. And then there were an additional 2 parallel parking spots on that side as well.
Okay.
So I think that gets us to 16 in total.
Yes.
Right. Yep. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
16 in total. So will that be a total amount of parking places, or I thought I heard the number 24?
No, that I'll take that back. That was with the previous approval that they have for 13 studios, so, from 2013. So I'm sorry, that was my fault. I messed that up.
And in terms of recreation, what type of recreation may be planned for the site as well, other than just green space? Any at all?
As of the moment, we don't have any. We may do a patio based on, but more likely we're just gonna leave it green for kids to play. I just don't want entertainment happening, in regular basis near neighbors' property. So
I understand. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Does any other board member have a question or comment for this petitioner? Okay. I'm going to ask whether there's anyone virtually present who wants to speak on this petition, although I'm not sure that's available at this meeting. Mr. Barbadoro? Commissioner? There being no one other than the petitioners present in the building, I'm going to assume that there are no public comments at this time. Is there anything to add before I close the hearing?
When Tony first contacted me about my services for analyzing the building, my first question was, is this rental? Is it for sale? Because there's impacts in both directions. And at this point in time, a lot of my work is for multifamily, for rent type apartments. And there's such a dire need for that. And in fact, Tony had done a project on Lind Street in Gardner, and it was only a 5-unit building. And he did a tremendous job with the building, restored everything. It was an old mansard style structure. And I remember talking to him the day after he had his rental walkthrough, and he had literally 100 people lined up down the street to walk through for 5 units. And it's sad because, with being a landlord, you want to, do the best for everybody. But with such a limited number of availability, people are really forced out of the housing market. So I feel that this is the best and highest use for the property. It could have been probably turned into a for sale type scenario. But my feeling is, for the community's purposes, that the for rent is much more important.
Is it going to be market rent?
Yes.
Yes.
If I can also add a little bit to the, a little bit of more information of what we normally do. We mostly do rental, it's our specialty, my partner and I, but we also take extremely pride for historical buildings. We are very, especially older buildings, for example, right now I'm renovating the old Gardner News in the center of Gardner. I don't know if you're familiar with the building there. And I'm also in the process of starting a renovation on the old Bank of America in the center of Gardner as well as a couple of old factory buildings in Hudson, Mass. I've done quite a lot out there. And in Clinton, we've done several mentions. And in every city we've been through, we have had a very good reputation, but also we provide very upscale apartments to attract, young professionals to live in town and play in town. And I think that's our goal, mainly to attract the right product. Like, for example, a lot of landlords, they don't put air conditioning to the tenants. We always like it because it just keeps the place so much cleaner. And the facade is very important, the appearance of a building from the moment that you bring a possible tenant onto the property. We're not in the business of flipping or we keep them for long term. And we rather do I think you guys spoke with my partner Barry, that we rather do all the management ourselves so we can hand select and pick the people that live in the property so that everyone has the same lifestyle and sort of becomes almost as a family pack and not like a headache to us or the city or the authorities in town, that they don't waste time on nonsense. So.
Thank you, Daniel.
I'll tell my wife I got my name changed.
What's the projected time to completion for this?
I would like to say 15 to 18 months. So
15 to 18 months. Okay. And thank you for providing the budget and proof of funds. You are already funded, thankfully, in the light of the market changes.
Yes.
For this project. So.
We have a great reputation with a lot of local banks, and they usually, a lot of times you don't get finance unless you have a permit on hands, but they know us so well that they're open to, they know. And a lot of times one thing I must add to a lot of these projects is that they're not your typical, new construction. So a lot of times you blow your budget by hundreds of thousands of dollars, and being able to absorb the cost is important so that you don't abandon a project. We haven't done it yet, and that's why it's important to us before we tackle any project and we get this far that we are funded. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to close the hearing now, unless, go ahead, Mr. Reynolds.
Just relative to appearance, it may be on the plans, but it just dawned on me, what's the plan for rubbish with all those units?
So we have a dumpster on site, and it's actually tucked behind the building, so it's not visible from the street whatsoever. And that was actually something that we went back and forth with the planning board relative. They wanted to save us a parking space just to have extra parking, so we tucked the dumpster. So it's very convenient as far as access from the residents to come out a door and then right to the dumpster.
And just out of curiosity, is the dumpster on the entrance to the property at the top of the hill or at the bottom of the hill?
The bottom, it's on the north side.
I guess I would just have some general questions. Is that safe? But I assume you've been through all that with planning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Seems like a tough corner.
So we work through with everybody relative to the distance from the curb cut to all the street intersections, and there was no issue or concern with that.
And, just to add that, just one more, comment to our vision on lighting perspective. So like I mentioned probably earlier, I've been in the electrical industry for over 25 years, so I kind of, I've seen a couple of ways to light up any building. So I'm very particular about lighting pollution. It's keeping the lighting confined, and it's very important to us, but also keep it practical. So we tend to use a lot of Ballard lighting, like lower, so you just light up the lower area. And if we do any lighting on the wall, we'll do like a low-profile pack that just washes the area you're going to walk. Very confined lighting. So,
Nice. Thank you.
I'm just going to note, having gone up and down South Street for much of my life, we're always a little anxious about the traffic entering and turning and sliding down the hill into other houses. But that's not really a problem that this property creates or can fix. So it's an existing issue. As long as there's visibility turning in and out, I think that's all we can hope for.
There is. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you. We talked about this, so we're just getting an acknowledgement. The windows are all going to be replaced, correct?
Yes.
And you had said you're going to do architecturally correct with divided lights, kind of where they are now?
Yes.
That is, I think, to a lot of members of the board, a key component to, I can get past the fact that, we're really looking to increase the density on the property. And, if it's a showstopper, I think it's really going to mask a lot of that, How about doors? Are they going to be like Craftsman style, again, keeping in period with the property?
Yeah, so typically we err on the side of simplicity when it comes to that. So we'll have, the entry doors will have glass so that you have that visibility for safety purposes. But we'll keep them very simple. Just a 6-light door, insulated exterior metal panel door, but looks like a wood, historical type door.
Okay, I think that's kind of one thing that the board would like to see, I don't want to beat the dumpster to death, so I won't, but will you be able to see it when you drive by, or is it?
No. It's actually literally behind the building, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. great.
Just another thing I may add real quickly, because I just had the meeting with, going back to the roof there, we have the lower porch, on the side between the house and the garage. We're going to restore that to either copper or black metal, to keep it, bring it back to what it was, so.
Great. And just tell me a little bit about the garage. How are you going to restore that facade? Is it going to be clapboard? Is it, what's?
Yeah, so it's currently just a white painted clapboard, so we're basically, the intent, I think, is just to scrape that, restore it. The wood, actually, the older wood, it was probably built in right around the turn of the century, 1900 or so. When you look up close at the wood, it's actually in very good condition because it's old, hard growth, old growth wood. So there's really no need to replace it. It's just really a maintenance issue with it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to replace the garage doors with modern overhead doors.
Okay.
For
And
convenience
again,
getting in.
architecturally pleasing for,
Yes, the
I want to
same.
see like a
We're gonna-
ranch style.
Right, we're going to recreate the same profile as there.
Okay. I'm assuming adding windows to that building, right? Because it's going to have a dwelling unit in it now?
So, yes, so above the garage doors, there's what used to be a window. It's just like an access panel for moving and storage. That's going to be replaced with an actual window.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Mr. Byrne?
No, I'm pleased. If everything that was shown to me while I was up there at 80 South Street comes to fruition, these fellows are a welcome asset to Fitchburg. I've seen pictures of their other buildings that they've done, and they do nice work. So welcome to Fitchburg as long as they keep their word to us.
Certainly.
Always
You'll be
true.
pleased.
Mr. Babineau?
I am
Comments?
not hearing the case, Madam Chairwoman. I
Okay.
was not here last meeting.
Thank you. All right. I want to thank you for the completeness of the materials that you presented to us. It is a pleasure to see an applicant submit complete plans, answer the questions, and respond to what is asked for them. And we very much appreciate what you have done in providing us with the information we need. I'm also appreciative of your willingness and desire to maintain the historical aspects of the building and work to mitigate any effect on the neighbors. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're now going to proceed and close the hearing. And I'm going to ask for any deliberations, comments from the board prior to voting on this petition. I would particularly enjoy hearing any comments on a list of conditions which might be proposed. Mr. McLaughlin?
Obvious condition would be that the approved site plan from the planning board become a condition of the special permit. Kind of a given, right?
Very good.
But we want to have that in there. I think plan as presented would clarify the number of units and the number of units in their bedrooms, or does the board want that as a condition? One of the pieces of this project that kind of won me over is the fact that they are very conscious about gearing this towards a limited number of occupants, although we're increasing the number of units by only having mostly, one bedrooms and only two bedrooms. So I don't know if that needs to be a condition, or as we accept the plan as presented, that kind of
Ties it up.
ties that up.
I would suggest that specifying the number of units of each type as what the special permit is granted for would be appropriate.
Yeah,
So that is one studio,
over the garage. And then
3 one-bedrooms,
bedrooms and 5
and
two-bedrooms.
5 two-bedrooms.
Correct.
Okay. Any other proposed conditions before?
Again, I know we discussed it. I'm sure they're good with what they're going to do, but again, I think because this is such a historic building, that, you know, some language with regards to the, you know, architecturally correct windows and doors with appropriate or replacement windows that have the correct divided light design as they presently do. Really,
I'm going to suggest that we use the term exterior architectural elements to be preserved or substantially accurately reproduced. And we'll go through in a minute what those are. Mr. Byrne has a
We
comment.
also should add a sunset clause. Because of the situation that happened on Albee Street, I'd like to add a sunset clause that if the building is sold prior to the issuancy of occupant permits, the special permit is canceled.
Okay.
Is that all right with you, Madam Chair?
I'm just thinking through the implications. We have the similar situation on 324 Lunenburg where we had the sunset clause tied to ownership. Certainly it's permissible under special permit. It's not permissible under variance. But what has happened with 324 Lunenburg is that there is one original owner who still retains a small portion of ownership, and they've avoided the sunset clause. I would like to allow for reorganization because this is an LLC.
Correct, yes. Yeah, thank you.
But I agree that there is an issue with new owners coming in over and over again who claim ignorance. If we phrased it so that the ZBA could terminate upon change of ownership, would that be acceptable? So that we would act in order to terminate the special permit, and that would be one of the reasons why we were able to do so.
I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, you know, when we see an applicant in the presentation that both have made tonight and the other night.
This is 100% true, Mike, but it's not for these applicants. It's going to be for everything that we
Right.
do from now on.
Right.
Because what happens is
Can I
if...
finish?
In a second.
What I was going to say is I agree, because what I'm hearing here, I know you're in favor.
These guys are okay.
And I am, but
I want to get this
I guess
ironed
it's
out.
once bitten, twice shy. We've had instances where
We've
things
been beaten up so badly.
have changed
Over and
drastically.
over again.
And it's made us be a little cautious
Makes sense.
with projects, you know?
I couldn't agree more.
We have full faith in you guys. I'm not doing this because of you personally. I'm doing it because of a position that I'm taking for now and for down the road.
Right.
Makes sense.
My thoughts on this is rather than having it be an automatic termination, that the board make a decision on that.
You can do that, but then things are going to slip by the table, just like on 22 Albee Street, because we don't get notified, so we don't take action on it, and it just keeps moving. If we have it set up so it's automatic, then we don't have to worry about it. It's automatic, and then there's no, like now we're going to have to be wondering, well, what are we going to do with these people that already moved into this place, and how can they do that? What can we do? And yabba dabba do. So
Okay.
to prevent that, we put this on, and it's automatically revoked.
Mr. Reynolds, you have a comment on this?
I would just say, Joe, the way I interpreted what you said was that your time frame was around occupancy, not around change in ownership. So could you just revisit, refresh me what your intention was?
What I'm saying is, if the ownership changes, the special permit is canceled.
Just as a sharper point, if the ownership changes when?
While our special permit is enforceable.
Okay.
Or is being operated under.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree that after issuance of the occupancy permit, it would not be appropriate. But I think prior to, there's a good reason to do that.
Upon change of ownership.
Mm-hmm. But after the special permit is issued, we have 9 units constructed that people are living in. So after that, I would be concerned about automatically pulling the special permit. Prior to, I think I'm in agreement with you.
What I'm trying to prevent is somebody buying a piece of property, coming before us, getting a special permit, and before they complete any of the conditions that we put forward, selling the property to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The person that they sell it to, because it's not noted that it's on the deed or anything like that, they move in and they just go ahead and do what they want to do.
You're worried somebody's going to sell the approved project?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Concern.
Prior to its completion in accordance with the terms that we set out.
We don't know, who they're selling the project to, whether these people can complete what we have put into our conditions or not. And I'm sorry for beating the dead horse, but that's what I would like to see.
Anyone else have any conditions that they would want to add besides the historical ones?
A review maybe at some point. Not sure if it's
like the one May.
During the project, halfway through. I really don't, just kind of throwing that out there. I know the board likes to look at things as they're being done.
Construction will start before winter?
Certainly, if we get the permit, yes.
Would April be
April,
appropriate?
I think a review in April would be a sufficient amount of time to allow to see what's happening.
What was the timeline for the completion of the project?
18 months.
15 to 18 months.
You want to move that out until June instead of May, instead of April? Just give them more time to complete.
We can always recall if there's an issue.
Okay.
I'm open.
So June is fine. And then just standard property to be maintained during construction, debris to be removed, dumpster to be emptied regularly, overgrowth to be cut back.
Place looks better than it ever has, and they haven't even done anything yet.
We like to keep our properties clean, so.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Reynolds, did you have any conditions to add?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Gallagher, could you take us through a list of the architectural elements that we are looking to preserve? And I'm going to say right out, this is not an exhaustive list. What we have been doing is having a list be entered with the building department attached to a photograph so that there's evidence and little pointers to show what we're talking about. Go ahead, Mr. Gallagher.
Okay, so I would like to see the architectural elements restored. When we had the opportunity to visit with you last week, I think we were pretty clear in what we pointed out. The design work around the windows that actually faces the South Street view when you're descending the hill. There were some elements above on the roof line. I'm very pleased that you're looking at restoring the Munson roof because that's a huge part of the appeal of the building. The copper on top of the roof as well. I realize some of it is loose and would need to be reattached. I'd like to see that saved as well. There's some architectural work in the front peak of the house that actually faces South Street. They're wooden strips. I'd like to see that restored and kept. The entranceway as well. There's intricate detail on the entranceway that I think certainly deserves. It's within the character of the house to maintain that as well. If I've missed anything, Christine, let me know.
The coffered ceiling on the
copper
interior. In the living room, on the interior, on the first floor, there's a coffered ceiling.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That living room looks like it's quite restorable.
It is still in very good shape, yes.
Yep. The quarter-sawn oak stairway, I would also like to see. There isn't a lot left to the house, but what is left to the house still looks relatively solid and very much restorable. I had also mentioned there are several oak floors, quarter-sawn oak floors that look like they could be restored as well. Most on the first floor, probably 3/4 on the second floor. I did acknowledge some water damage that had come in during the fire, and it didn't look like those floors could be restored. But I think we're probably looking at about 75% that can.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gallagher. If there are no other comments, questions, or concerns or deliberations, I'm going to ask for a motion which incorporates the conditions we just discussed.
I will make the motion on ZBA 2022-30 for the property at 80 South Street for the approval of a special permit under section 181-333 to grant for 9 units with all the conditions discussed by the board.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Unanimously passes. Gentlemen, I look very much forward to seeing this project progress.
Very excited to get going.
We appreciate the time and the thoroughness and everything you've provided.
I very much value you guys' time coming out and seeing the building and get a good,
We are
scope of
looking
what you're
forward
looking for.
to seeing some developers that really, are going to help Fitchburg
Thank you.
turn the corner. It's a gateway, so this one will be a real eye popper.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're looking
Thanks for your
forward to it.
feedback as well.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Byrne.
recommend we,
Figure that out already?
what are we going to do?
Mr. Reynolds does need to exit our
Vision,
presence.
brand
Thank you very much
well.
for attending this evening.
I truly believe.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Can I ask just a quick question? The visit that you are looking to do on June, do we need to schedule that or reach out to schedule it? Did I hear that right?
The meeting will be scheduled for June at the June date.
13th.
Okay.
Thank you. I was going to say it's difficult to know what day that is yet, but
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson does know. So
Okay. So we don't need to reach out to schedule it? You guys will let us know?
we'll let you know. It will be published on the public agenda.
Perfect.
And those agendas are always on the city's website.
Perfect. We'll definitely be on the lookout.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
I'll give her your cell number, okay? And then she can give you a jingle as a reminder.
Fantastic.
Okay.
That sounds great. I like that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Byrne, did you have a motion to make?
Motion we adjourn?
Hold on. Beg your pardon. Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Barbadoro.
apologies for interrupting. I know that it will be great to get out of here at 9 o'clock. I think we can still do that, but I was notified by FATV that there's a scheduling conflict with the city council. So I'd like to, if you would allow me to, share my screen so you guys can pick an alternate date and do a motion to
City Council?
I knew that was going to happen.
At any time you're ready. Which date is in conflict?
So the third Tuesday is a city council meeting. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, they'll just have to move it.
Yeah, move that city council meeting. We don't care.
Well, it's not June 3rd, it's June 13th.
It's the third week. See,
Oh,
week
third week.
1, 2,
Okay.
3.
What month?
Yeah, is this November?
Can we buy a vowel? What month are we discussing?
That's right, my bad. Let me get the right one up.
Yeah, August is not, we're not in August.
Thank you. Give me a moment.
No problem.
As soon as I figure out how to do it.
They haven't changed all the dates again.
I thought the zoning board trumped city council since we made more money.
Well, I think that the zoning board is very important, and we need to make sure that they are
Just
on.
kidding.
Let me see.
Permanent record, Mr. McLaughlin.
I know.
Permanent record.
It was October.
Since we made more money.
Up on the top, by October 22, push the button on the far side, the carrot on the far side.
There you go.
October, November.
There you go.
The 15th?
Okay, so
Yes,
what date do we
sure.
want now?
Yes, the 15th.
Our FATV Dan, I believe?
Yes. So the schedule that we had up on the screen is applicable to any month in particular. But yes, the second, so obviously, as we know, November 8th is going to be Election Day, and on the 15th, City Council meets here in the Legislative Building at that time. So that would be the challenge with doing the meeting on November the 15th, would be that if you do the meeting on that day, well, City Council's there, so you'd have to meet elsewhere, because I think City Council is going to take priority the way that things end up going.
So go back up where we were.
So
before.
on that
Just have it
particular,
next door, that's all.
so on that particular document, I can't put it up on the screen to the viewers now because I'm here. But on that one, the blank boxes are the ones in which there are vacancies on a regular month. And Thursdays generally are pretty clear. It's just Board of Health that meets on the first Thursday. But the second Thursday, for instance, is generally pretty clear. Same with the third and fourth Tuesdays, and third and fourth Thursdays.
Okay.
I hadn't updated that one yet, so I'll have to update to add zoning board to that particular document so that you'll be represented as you should be.
Thank you, thank you.
All right,
Madam
is there-
Chair, could we just have it next door as we've been meeting previously?
We can. That means we will not have FATV coverage for that meeting, and we will be back to
So the city's going to cry when that happens. They won't be able to see Michael's beautiful face.
The alternate, the 24th of November, I think, is Thanksgiving. That Thursday. The 17th is the only other, which is the Thursday before Thanksgiving, is the only other day that I would possibly take.
Vacations.
I'm not trying to be difficult, but we have things signed for the 5th. We have an agreement to sign to the 15th, so if you could
Yeah.
just have it next door, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm for the 15th.
It will be. So we're going to change location then for one meeting.
Yeah. I know you want to drag me out drinking, but I'm not going.
Mr. Barbadoro?
Yes.
We're going to change back to our prior location
Okay.
for one meeting,
I'm not going to say.
and that way there will be less changes to make.
Understood.
Thank you.
Well, good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Was there anything else before we adjourn?
I know.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Thank you.